Miriam Simcha, who are you?
Who am I? Well, I call myself Miriam Simcha. It's a name I gave myself when I decided to become, when I really wanted a real Hebrew name. I never had a Hebrew name. I had a Yiddish name. I never had a Hebrew name. My English name was given to me. My English name is Maxine Joy. And I tried to find something similar to that. And I liked Miriam and I liked Simcha. So
Simcha
I got
meaning joy in Hebrew. For Tulani, who doesn't
Simcha.
speak Hebrew.
Right. Actually, Simcha means
Yeah.
happiness.
Yes.
After going through it a few months later, going through different names and stuff, I said to my husband, I should have called myself Ditsa. Ditsa is joy. But because my parents named me, and I wanted a name as close to what my parents gave me. Anyway, I chose Miriam Simcha. I got named in synagogue when I was quite a few years ago, when I was in Israel. And I had a naming in synagogue, and I became Miriam Simcha. So, going back, I was born in Manhattan, New York, and I grew up in New Jersey, and then went to California. In New Jersey, I had a very different lifestyle. I lived in the country part of New Jersey. I lived on what was called the other side of the tracks, so to speak. And I was one of three white families growing up in my childhood, the only Jewish family. And growing up through the years, I was friends with all the children on my side of the tracks. Nothing made a difference. There was no difference. Friendship was friendship, and religion was religion, and everybody had their own observances, and color didn't matter. And the elders of the neighborhood were to me my aunties and my uncles, and we were a family. And all through the years I was going to Hebrew day school, my father made sure that somehow we would have a good, strong base of knowledge of our roots, and he would drive 13 miles each way to take us to Hebrew school, us meaning my sister and myself. 13 miles in the morning, 13 miles at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, in the wintertime through the snow and the slush. And I got to know where I came from and who I was, and observed my roots, but at the same time kept relationships with the people in my neighborhood. Then I finished up to 8th grade in the Hebrew day school, and it was time to go to public school. And then reality really hit hard, because I went to public school. I did not continue my Hebrew learning. I went on the school bus, and the people from the other side of the tracks, supposedly the right side, the correct side of the tracks, wouldn't sit next to me. They were the white people. They wouldn't sit next to me. My friends from my neighborhood wouldn't sit next to me. They were my black friends. They didn't want to associate with me to show the people of the other side of the tracks that they were associating with a white person on a social basis. And the people on the other side of the tracks didn't want to associate with me because I lived on the wrong side of the tracks, and I had all my neighborhood friends were black. So it was very, very hard going to school every day, and coming home. And the friendships I made in school were nice, but they weren't really of any meaning. And then eventually, my father decided to move to California for family reasons, to be with his brother, for us to get to know our cousins. And then I finished off high school in California, and that's where I met my husband. My husband was born in Singapore. I met him many, many years later. And then we made Aliyah 27 years ago. And this is all very, very brief, very fast, speed up through the life of Miriam Simcha. We made Aliyah with...
What's Aliyah? What's Aliyah?
Oh, sorry. We made immigration. We moved to Israel to continue our lives here. My husband, myself, and at that time we had 3 children, and one I was 6 months pregnant with the last one. And we left everyone else home in California. We decided we wanted to be in Israel. My husband had a fantastic job, and we here 27 years. The baby was born 3 months after we made Aliyah. It was a very hard transition. I didn't speak Hebrew very well at the time, and I was at least able to communicate with the doctors and the nurses and people in my apartment building, and everyone was very helpful. Then many years later, through time, I eventually, this is about a few years ago, I had a job helping a family in Ramat Bet Shemesh Aleph. That's in Beit Shemesh, a neighborhood in Beit Shemesh. I heard that someone needed someone to help them with their family, their children. A person turned to me and asked me would I be interested to help them. The mother was going through a liver transplant, and she was in France. And she suddenly found out she had problems with her liver. She had to fly over to France in hope of getting a liver transplant. They needed someone to watch 7 children. I love children. I said I would do it. Only later, after I said I would do it, I found out that they were willing to compensate me monetarily for my time. I was the house mother. I was the home manager. I was there when the kids went to school, came home from school. The oldest one was about 16 years old. The youngest one just turned 1.5. The father was not around. He was in France with his wife. And actually, she was actually dying because the liver they were hoping to get didn't come through. They were waiting for another one to show up. And I did not sleep there. They had a babysitter come to sleep there. I went there in the morning. I finished late at night. One night, I made sure they had their meals. I made sure they had their clothes laid out. I did their laundry.
Come for a treat.
I did everything for them as their mother would, and with love. I did it with love and with happiness, and I felt for them. I felt such a sadness, such a deep sadness, because these children are missing their mom. I showed them how to bake. I showed them I helped them with their homework. One evening, it was a rainy evening, and this little boy, he was, I think 5 years old, 4.5, 5. And I was finally going home for the day. It was after 8 o'clock at night. And I thought he was asleep. I made sure everyone was in bed, except the older children. They were able to take care of themselves. And I had their clothes laid out, and I put on my coat, and I was ready to go down the stairs and made sure everyone was tucked in. And I just heard this little voice say to me, Miriam Simcha. And I said, oh, he's awake, And so I said, what is it? He says, I don't want you to go. And I said, why? He says, because I miss my mommy. And I said to him, well, what can I do to help you with that feeling of missing your mommy? And he said, I don't want you to go. He says, I like to cuddle with my mommy. So I said to him, would you like me to cuddle with you? And he said, yes. So I took off my coat and took off my scarf. It was a rainy, cold winter night. And I called my husband. I said I was going to be a bit late. He was going to pick me up. And he was in bed. I went on top of the blanket. I held him in my arm. I stayed with him until he fell asleep. And then I went home. And the next day I came back, and he was all smiles. He was happy. And he says, I miss my mommy, but I'm so happy. I had such a good day in school. I felt so good that I made that extra time and I didn't run out. So that was what I was able to do for someone. And that's a short story of what happened in my life and getting to Israel and a lot of different things that made me who I am today.
Thumping heart for you, Miriam Simcha. A thumping heart. Miriam Simcha and I have become close friends. But this is a story I didn't know about her, and I just love you so much for that. We can spend hours and hours and hours just chatting. And it's lovely to get to know something about you that I didn't know beforehand. I think it's like fantastic, this forum now that enables us to get to know people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Me too. We've worked together for on and off over 20 years. And I suddenly realized it's incredible how I didn't really know what a lovely person I'm working with. It's not that we didn't know each other and get on each other and respect each other and think we're great. But suddenly I felt, like Nomi said, a pumping heart of what an honor it is to be in your presence. What a lovely human being. And it took simple activity like this to get to know. It's amazing how you can miss over a person's life if you don't have a moment to slow down and hear who they are. Yes, Joyce.
I'd like to ask what happened to that family and those children, and are you still in contact with them?
So I am no longer in contact with them. The mother came home. The mother came home with a new liver.
Amazing.
I was going to move on. In fact, I was going to make a move from Beit Shemesh and to another city in Israel. And the parents asked me not to go. I also had a job waiting for me in this new city. And they asked me to stay to help her, because she would be going through bouts of depression. She would need to be woken up in the morning. She needed a lot of different kinds of assistance that I guess they could have gotten some kind of caregiver, but they preferred that I continue, I guess, for the continuity for the children. And the mother liked me. She had never met me. And the mother liked me, and she felt that it would be someone she could feel comfortable with. So I took care of her as well. I decided to stay. Our moving plans changed. My husband agreed. I talked it over with him. He said, if they need you, we stay. Wow. We stay, and I gave up a good job that was waiting for me. All along I was being compensated, but it had nothing to near what I was going to be doing in this new city. And I stayed there with the children. And the daughter, who was around, I think, 11, one of the daughters, remembers when I first came, and she had told her mother that her mother was not around. She had to go to her friend's bat mitzvah. And she was waiting. She got dressed. She asked me how she looked. And I said, you look lovely. And she was waiting, and I was watching her, and I just knew she needed some touching up, a little bit of touching up. And she told this to her mother. And I told her, come here, let me, we hardly knew each other then. We're still getting to know each other. So I had like fear of overstepping boundaries and things like that. I told her, come here. And I worked on her hair. I fixed it. I braided it. I said, now you're ready to go to the bat mitzvah. And she was all smiles. And I think all this added to her family wanting me to stay on. Little things like that we don't realize at the time when we're doing it, how deep they fall into a special pocket. And I told all the children, I even tell my children and my grandchildren too, and I tell them, I have each of you in a special pocket of my heart. My heart has many pockets. And when they throw me a kiss, because now we can't really hug and kiss, I say, I'll take that kiss and I'm putting it in the pocket of my heart. And that pocket has your name on it. So many little things that we say and we do throughout our lives and how it touches a person, we have no idea the after effects. And I guess this is one of the reasons why they wanted me to stay with them for a little while longer. And I stayed with them for another 1.5 years. And then a lot of dynamics changed in the house. The kids were growing up. The mother was getting better. They didn't really need someone like me anymore. They had someone to do the house cleaning, but my needs were being filled already by their mother. So it was good. It was good, and it was time to move on.
This is the Hebrew version of Mary Poppins, MSMP, right?
That's
And
right.
She moved on when the family didn't need her any longer. She brought so much goodness, and she got them all to feel good about each other, and she brought healing to the family, and that's what you've done. It's just really beautiful, really beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. And I have to add, each child was a little package of their own. One child was borderline autistic, one child had ADHD, one child had problematic motor skills. I mean, I did not just get a little package of, package of children that sang and danced and played games. I mean, it was challenging, but I loved every moment of it.
Wow.
Huge inspiration you are. Huge inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so pleased that you figured out how to speak so that we can understand you.
Oh, thank you.
It was worth the wait and worth David spending however long he did trying to figure it out.
Oh, David. God bless David. Patience of a saint. A saint doesn't have this patience.
Worth it a millionfold. Personally, it's really hard for me to say let's move on, because I'm just in this lovely space of enjoying what you said, and it's really hard. Let's look at the time. It's 7:43. So maybe we'll start a film. Tulani, I phoned him up last week and I said, by the way, I haven't spoken to you in a while. What do you think about the groups? And he said, it's great, but you haven't done a film for a while. You should do a film. Oh gosh, yes, I forgot about that. So we're into compassion now. Sorry, Miriam Simcha, because I'll dream in a very kosher way, dream about you tonight, and you can't forget a story like that for a lifetime. Wow. But I'm moving on for the moment. Thank you.
It's good. You're welcome.
So we've started the second of the 8 virtues, which is compassion. The first film video, Compassion Video 7, we actually covered a lot in the past week in our discussions and some of the balloon games that we played and this, that, and the other. So I'm jumping on to video 8, which is talking about compassion as opposed to empathy. And maybe I'll leave that as a bit of homework. What's the difference between compassion and empathy? But let me just go and start playing this film. I may stop it in the middle here and there to share some stuff. And share screen. That's interesting. My screen's gone all different from what it was when I started. Okay, I'm gonna. 1 second, just getting there. That's with Jonathan. I was with Jonathan. That's why. There we are. Video 8, I'm just setting it up. Okay. Yes. Could you hear that?
Yeah.
Just double checking that it was working. Okay.
Hi, Ma.
Dear loving facilitator, welcome to the magic of reality. This time we're not starting with a regular story, rather a taste of magic, diversity and unity coming together in harmony. Check this image out. You can find it in your class material and on page 41 in your books. The 2 checker squares pointed to by the yellow arrows are the same colour and shade. Yes? No? Yes.
First of all, many of you know this already, but those that haven't seen it before, do you agree that those 2 squares pointed to by the arrows are the same colour? Anybody there?
You have to unmute yourselves.
No, they're not the same color.
You would not think they're the same color.
Okay, so I'm going to take everybody, I'm going to take Joyce and Sands, okay? Just the 2 of you. I'd like to do a little bet with you. Is that okay? £10. And if you lose the bet, you have to give £10 £10 to a charity of your choice. And if you win, and if you win the bet, then I'll give £10 to a charity of my choice. I say they are exactly the same colour. Do you want to go for the bet or not?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, so we're on the bet. We're carrying on watching the film.
Have a class discussion before continuing. With such a crazy statement, you'll provoke some fun chaos. Enjoy the good energy. I don't know if it's against school rules, but in a good spirit, having fun, you could make a bet. If I'm wrong, I'll give £5 to a charity of my choice. If you're wrong, you give £5 to a charity of your choice. After a while, and don't rush it, reveal. Okay, I'll prove it. But first of all, the message behind the magic. On the outside, like the squares in the checkerboard, we seem to be different. Black, white, men, women, rich, poor, left, right, religious, secular. But if we focus on the inside, our essence, we're all the same. We all want to be understood, appreciated and loved, and to understand, appreciate and love. As Mohandas Gandhi would say, though we have many bodies, we have but one soul. To illustrate, cut along the dotted lines on the previous page, cutting out 2 rectangles, and then place that page.
So this is not a game. This is really putting a graphic on top of the other page, and you will see what happens.
Over the image on page 41. When we shut out distractions and focus, you'll see the 2 light and dark squares are in fact one colour, one soul. This is no trick video editing, rather the magic of reality.
That they really are the same colour. So, and if you have the books there, you can actually cut the page out and do it for yourself. And the point is, as explained in the video, but I think it's so apropos, Miriam Simcha's story about the way she grew up. You know, on the outside we're blacks and whites, and every single person has a light to bring to the world. But on the inside, we're all the same. We all want love. We all want self-respect. We all want meaning in life. It's amazing. We're one soul.
We have more in common than meets the eye. If you don't have a book, you'll find a copy of this image in your lesson material box. What does this phenomenon symbolize in the humanity being? We all have different strengths to contribute to a complete checkerboard, representing a healthy, happy humanity being. And we can use them to help others who don't have those strengths in order to cultivate harmony and well-being for the whole system. As John Hagelin explains, quantum physics teaches at the surface, diversity. At the core, we are all one.
So this screen here that you have is actually from a PowerPoint. And when you're working on the PowerPoint, you can click on the screen and actually see the video. And even though it's quite way out, I thought I'd share this particular video rather than skipping it, because it shows you the science behind the oneness of the soul. So I'm going to stop sharing to get to the other video. And so there you are back again. And I'm going to share screen so that you see. Oh, so I need to, because I was playing music with my son before. Oh, there we are. That's the video. So I can now come back to the Zoom and share screen. And where is the video there? And I will play it. Share screen. Here we are. Share.
Quantum physics has basically revealed the fundamental unity of life. Surface diversity, but deeper levels at the molecular, atomic, subatomic, subnuclear, electroweak unified, etc., culminates in the discovery of what's called the unified field, fulfilling Einstein's dream of revealing the fundamental unity at the basis of the diversity of the universe. Now, what does that have to do?
So it doesn't know what's flying.
Why is it stopped? I'm sorry. That's frustrating.
Because nobody understands what he's talking about. Don't worry about it.
Some people understand.
I love the interviewer's face.
That's on purpose. It's part of the show. But why is it?
It's your internet, probably.
Is it my internet? Let's have a look. Oh, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Naomi, I'm
Come on, David. David, you can give us a lesson on quantum physics. Let's go.
Trust me, it's worth it if I can get it back. I'm just going to see if I can get it back once again. Just give me a second. And we'll go back to the film if I can't get it. Because you'll enjoy his response. Give me a few more seconds.
Fulfilling Einstein's dream of revealing the fundamental...
Every presenter of Love in Classroom needs to be able to blag a lesson in quantum physics.
How dare you say I talk funny and
It's
then come
pretty
out with
easy.
that? So you're saying that the idea that things are separate and distinct from each other on a material level is illusory. Is that what you're
Sensory
saying?
illusion. That's correct.
It's a sensory illusion.
That's correct. But you can go beyond the senses. And that's what meditation traditionally is. Properly understood, it is a technique to pull the awareness from the outwardly directed senses powerfully within to experience deeper levels of mind, simpler, quieter, more unified levels of the thinking process, and then slipping beyond thought, that's where the transcendental comes in, beyond thought altogether to experience this universal unity at the basis of mind and matter. If the fundamental reality of life is unity, if we are all one at our core but don't see it, that bringing that unity from within to the surface of perception and understanding, that is a transformed world. That is a unified world. That is a peaceful world.
Okay. And the interview goes on, but I thought that was worthwhile sharing with you. And I hope you enjoyed it, even though maybe not every word made sense. And then this morning, it just fits into what Miriam Sunkel was saying. And I just came up with a document which I sent out to a few friends, which I felt I'd like to read out, which also reflects this idea. So I'm going to go into this document, which is a Word document. If it's here, if that's it, let me just share if that's the one. Yeah. So the standard script for all Save the World books and films is: the goodies beat the baddies, and we survive to live another day. You can even throw in some love. The goodies learn to love one another, unite, and overthrow the baddies. Even teachings such as the meek shall inherit the earth are typically read to imply one group, the genuine, worthy meek, will overcome the baddies, the power-abusing bad. It just feels good, justifies our personal struggle when the genuine good beats the rotten bad. So the philosophy of one is a different approach. In every human being, even those who are acting in very painful ways, there is a crucial light that needs to be kindled and integrated into the tapestry of humanity for humanity to thrive. In a world of one, if bad happens, I am doing that bad because we are one soul. In a world of one, it's not one side beating the other side. Rather, we're battling to help one another remove blocks, reveal and integrate our respective lights. Because know this from the chapter on respect, we all have light, and it's our job to find those lights and help us integrate those respective lights into one being, including all. That's the humanity being. When that happens, we overcome the universal bad and will enjoy the next stage of our evolutionary process, a sublime experience of oneness consciousness, well-being, and fulfillment will begin. That's the script and destiny for humanity. So I couldn't sleep last night, and I dreamt that, and I wrote it sort of like in the morning when I woke up. I thought, that's not bad, and I felt it was relevant to share that in terms of this film. So let's get back to the film and see if we can finish it off. Where is the film? I have to get it again, and then I'll carry on with it. With all these different films, it just suddenly stop share 1 second. I'm stopping to share to find the film. Where's the film? That's the film. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that was it. Yes. Sorry. Thank you. I forgot. That's the film. Yeah.
Now, before developing compassion for our weaknesses, let's get deeper into understanding our strengths. In previous videos, we've been talking about head, heart and hand in the humanity being macro oneness, and in the individual, micro oneness. This gives rise to 6 humanity being strengths: macro thinkers, micro thinkers, macro relators, micro relators, macro doers, micro doers. Macro thinkers think about the big picture. We call them leaders. They think about large inspiring ideas and others follow. Micro thinkers think about the details. We call them specialists. They make sure all the bits are orderly and organized. Macro relators attract and connect to very large numbers of people. We call them connectors. They see a world of oneness. Micro relators put quality time into cultivating one-on-one relationships. We call them supporters, deeply caring for the individual. Macro doers facilitate big projects. We call them producers. They can convert the big picture into practical reality. Micro doers get specific jobs done, from bricklaying to microsurgery. We call them doers. Want a job done? Ask a doer.
So maybe at this point, everybody, I notice people tend to be 2 out of 6 boxes. Actually on the following page, which we'll see shortly, are some examples of the different things these people do. But I'd love to get to know you a little bit better. This is talking about your strengths. And then in the next film, we'll talk about how these strengths actually leave weak spots. So my strengths can fulfill another person's weak spots, and thereby we become a fulfilled humanity being when everybody's helping everybody. So I'll just go on to the sort of like typical jobs that these people do, and then I'd like you to maybe share who you think you are. I can say who I am, and then maybe you can share. I know who Miriam Simcha was, and I know Nomi wants to say a quick word.
Yeah, I just want to say something about where it says, are you a thinker, relator, or doer? You're probably all 3. It's not that if you happen to be specialized in relating that you never think and you don't do. What we're talking about here is like, it's clear that we all are all of them, but what is your forte? What are you like best at doing? What do you veer towards? What's your natural tendency? That's what we're talking about. And David says, in general, people tend to veer towards 2 of the 6 as opposed to 1 specific.
Now, you and your students can work out which of their strengths are best suited to which careers, for which they'll probably be most successful and enjoy job satisfaction. For example, entrepreneurs tend to be macro thinkers and accountants micro thinkers. Here are more examples.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to that page and you can sort of like see what it is. So I tend to be me. I sort of do macro thinking, and that's, I guess, why it doesn't make me any better, but because I do a lot of thinking about the big picture, that sort of like puts me in the leadership box, I suppose. But not because I'm better, that's just the sort of box I'm in. And then I'm a micro doer. That's why I can produce a book, but I'm really not very good at making organizations happen and building. So that's why Reuben, who's in this group, is a real producer. He can make things actually happen and build organizations. And rather than me sort of like fluffing around with all these ideas, we need team to make it happen. And then Nikki, for me, well, she's the ultimate connector, the macro connector. I mean, like everywhere she goes, she just attracts and connects the people. And then from Miriam Simcha's story, she's the ultimate example of the supporter, somebody who actually, you know, like spends an extra 1.5 years not moving in order to help another human being. And Nomi is also the supporter. She's can't stand large groups, but she's amazing one-on-ones, and she's also a micro doer. So maybe for next week, because we've got to the end of our time this week, maybe everybody can introduce themselves and share with us how you feel, what are your strengths, and maybe share an example of why you think you have those strengths. And then when we know each other's strengths, we're much more effective in building teams. And also with those strengths, as we'll see, come various weaknesses, which we can then help one another overcome. But our time has run out for this week, so I'm going to cancel the page and say, as always, I love you. Any questions before we say goodbye?
Can you send those 2 pages to the Loving World Classroom training, please?
Well, Sans, that is the best question I've had, that somebody actually wants to read something. So I'm sorry for wasting your time, but I just got to sing my song to you. Sans, 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 we love you very much. Thank you, Sans, 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 we love you very much. Thank you, Sans, 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 we love you very much. Sans, Sans, we love you very much. Yes, we can plonk those on the Loving Training group. Yes, Joyce.
I also think it might be a nice idea if you know another person on this group, you describe them and give 2 examples of who they are. Because I think sometimes people don't.
Say the same.
Sometimes people don't notice who they are, and they need somebody else to do it and show it.
Okay, so let's choose somebody we're describing next week randomly now. Well, it's not really randomly, but Joyce, who are you going to describe? Let's do it actually in order of my screed. Nikki?
I'm going to describe Joyce.
You're going to describe Joyce. Nomi, who are you going to describe?
I'm going to describe Naftali Schiff.
David, I'll think about it. Reuven, who are you going to describe?
I'll describe Nomi.
Miriam Simcha, who are you going to describe?
Don't know.
I'm coming back to you. I'm moving on. Joyce, who are you going to describe? Naftali, don't run away. Joyce,
I'm going to describe Nikki and Naftali.
You're going to, who?
Nikki and Naftali.
Great. What? Creative thinking out the box. Everybody thought it was just one person. Joyce breaks the box wide open. Love you. But I haven't got the time to sing the song. Sans, who are you going to describe?
I'll describe Shira.
Shira. Shira, who are you going to describe?
We can't
Can I
hear
describe you?
Me? Yeah, of course. Thank you. I'm all a bit nervous now. I now know what it feels like. I don't like this. Okay, Naftali Schiff, who are you going to describe if you come? And it'd be great to have you next week.
Oh, you and Sans.
Me and who?
Is that
Sans, me and Sans, I think. Tulani,
Good.
who are you going to describe?
I'm going to describe you, David.
Oh.
Me, okay. Happy Anne, if you're there, you don't have to respond, but yes, who are you going to describe?
Yeah. I'm here. I'm just sorry I'm late and I was still in the car coming back home. I haven't got the widest choice, unfortunately, because so far I don't know many on the group. So yeah, I'm struggling because I could have chosen Nikki, but she is well described by Joyce, so I'm not sure.
Okay, I think Happy Anne, I'm going to vote that you'll describe Nikki. You can describe the same person twice. I'm thinking.
And I'll describe you. I'll describe Anne and Joyce too.
Okay, and you can choose to describe more people next week. I'm going to describe Nomi and Miriam Simcha. And that leaves Miriam Simcha. Miriam Simcha, who are you going to describe?
So I think I'm choosing, let's see, maybe, I don't know very many people here, okay? So from what I know, I think I'll describe Joyce and Tulani.
Okay, we are set. We can't dawdle around because we're meant to finish on time. We love you very, very much. And this week, especially love you, Miriam Simcha. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you guys too.
Bye.
Bye.